All right, welcome back to the OffBeat Sports Podcast. We're joined by Boston's own TheSpikeKing. You might know him from his tattoos or just as one of the key operators at Ride the Wave Media. And so, obviously, we can just start, how have you been doing with the quarantine?
First of all, you hear that barking in the background? That's all the people chirping in my DMs over the last few days. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you hear that, dude? That's all they're doing. They just keep barking at me. Quarantine life is what it is. I'm still working. I'm still got a job. I'm still going out there. Obviously not having sports, like live sports sucks. Today's the day, though. We have the NFL Draft.
Yeah.
But, creating content still getting people riled up. The NFL's still going on, and I'm still speaking the truth out there of what's going on.
You've been watching any, the throwback games or anything like that they've been airing on the different stations, or just
You know what's funny, man? I haven't had a lot of time to really just sit down and watch TV, nor do I really do that. I got rid of cable a year ago, and I just had last night off, and I sat down in front of the TV. I'll try to binge watch a couple of shows. I've been getting more into movies. Last night I just watched the 2008 finals for the Celtics, but I haven't really been keeping up with any sports. It is kind of cool though that they have that airing, any NFL games or basketball or hockey, to kind of just watch some throwback games, but I haven't really been sitting down and watching anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard because if you know the outcome, it's kind of tough sometimes to go back and watch it. It's almost better if they throw a game out there that you feel like you've probably never seen, because then it's you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say for the 08 Celtics, just watching it was Game 3 and Game 5 that they had last night, and just watching that, I was just oh shit, I haven't watched this in a long time. It's been over 10 years since I've seen any of this. So, even though you know the outcome, like you said, it's still good that you can watch, say last night, James Posey, dude, that guy was big for the 2008 Celtics, a couple big threes that he hit. Even someone like Ray Allen driving down in Game 3 and putting them up by 5 points, with 15 seconds left. You start appreciating the little things that you might have forgotten about.
Everybody forgets about Ray Allen before, because all they think about is Miami when he hit the shot, because that's what he's known for. But his prime came so before that.
I watched the 08 Celtics championship documentary a couple weeks ago. It was actually pretty good, and they had a whole thing on James Posey and how he actually affected that.
He was talking about how big of a part James Posey was in that team back in the day. Not that long ago, I saw it. But yeah, so with the main questions we got for you, so first one, Patriots, kind of stuff like that. What are your expectations going into the next season for the Pats? What are you thinking, record-wise? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they have a tough schedule. I mean, it's a lot of traveling this upcoming year. I know the schedule hasn't dropped officially yet, so we don't know the dates. My personal opinion for that is just because of the quarantine life. And I actually don't think there's going to be any London games, any international games like Mexico this year. So that's also probably another reason why they're rescheduling a couple things. I think the Patriots start off the season on the West Coast on a road game. I was saying the Kansas City, maybe they open up on the NFL kickoff opener. But I see them maybe playing in L.A. or Seattle the first game. But it's a lot of traveling back and forth. And in terms of Patriots, man, this team still has it. I don't get why people are putting them down. Yes, their offense is not the same at all, but the offense wasn't good last year either. I'd rather just see what Stidham has, roll with it. I think Stidham will have a better connection with Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry since they all come in together, and Stidham has that extra time to spend with them. But in terms of the defense is exactly the same they had last year, minus Kyle Van Noy, minus Jamie Collins. Yeah, that hurts that you don't have both of those, the boogeymen. But you got guys like Chase Winovich and Jawan Bentley who are going to just step right up in those places. And you still have the same corners of Gilmore and JC Jackson, man, has been a silent assassin and needs a lot more respect. And he's on a contract year. That guy is going to absolutely ball out because he wants to get paid. And someone like Joejuan Williams, you might see someone like him start stepping up this year. I just think the defense is still going to be there. And I say 11-5, 11-5, 12-4.
That's what I said.
Here's the thing, about the Gronk and Brady situation. I know we're going to talk more about it, but just to get it out there, there's no more bullshit on this team. Gronk was bringing a lot of bullshit to that team that Belichick doesn't want, but he just had it there because it's Rob Gronkowski. He's the fucking all-time greatest tight end.
Is he coming back? Is he not? What are you going to expect? Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, and Tom Brady was bringing some BS too. It's kind of like Brady is an employee for the New England Patriots, and Brady has the right to go to trust me, Brady has the right to go to Tampa. He has the right to go do what he wants to do.
And other people's
But-
houses, do whatever he wants,
But Brady wants control, and that's what he's getting in Tampa. You're not getting it in New England, and it's finally time where Belichick doesn't have Gronk or Brady. He controls everything, and those players are going to listen to him, and no one's going to overtake like the team. And it's just going to be interesting to see how this team comes together, especially now you see Brady gone and now Gronk follows him. That should light a fire under some of these asses over there. And I also said Julian Edelman right here, J11, that's why I'm repping it. Julian Edelman technically does become the face of the New England Patriots, but his time is almost up as well too. He has won like another 2 years in his contract, but he has an opt-out after next season. This is the perfect time for these players individually to step up and become the face of the New England Patriots. Doesn't have to be Stidham. Doesn't have to be the quarterback. It could be a N'Keal Harry. It could be a Chase Winovich. It could be Gilmore. You know what I mean? Like there's guys out there that have the chance now to become the face and make a brand for themselves too.
Yeah, I think it's weird with like Edelman because like his contract has that many years, but it's really about how much does his talent level have that much time left for him to really represent with like his game to show that like I'm the guy on this team, because sooner rather than later you can't run across the middle that long in your career high up into the 30s and just produce like that. It just doesn't
work. His stats, like his catches, everything's going to drop this season. I don't see him being the bailout guy for Stidham. Like let's just say Stidham is the guy.
I don't look at his drops as something like serious, because I think the whole offense was just like they had to rely on him way more because
I'm just saying, like his stats, they're not going to be looking at him that much. They're going to be looking at him like he's getting paid like $8.5 million. Like they're going to be looking at him as a veteran, somebody that can help lead that offense. And hey, like these are the things I see and help develop some of those receivers. When the season's over, whatever happens, if he opts out and wants to go somewhere else, that's on him. At least he stayed for the year to be like, I'm here. I'm going to try to give it all my best. And that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that he doesn't get traded or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
But if he wants to opt out, he opts out. But I think JE11, it's going to be smart for him to stay for the brand, because now there's no TB12. Like you can step up in that. It's huge for the brand. They reached out to me last year and they were like, hey, we want you to be like a brand ambassador. We'll give you free shit. Can you promote this and that? And I got to work with some of the guys and understand their mindset. And I've been telling them, I really hope that he stays, because it's going to be big for your brand.
Think about it. You know how many people are going to rep him? Just him, because there's no one else. It's not like a bona fide star. You have him. And that's
nobody wants to rep TB12 anymore, because like he's going.
I mean, like I posted that yesterday on Instagram about I was genuinely curious for those people that have Gronk and Brady jerseys. What's the next jersey you're going to rep? And you're going to see a ton of 11 jerseys in the stands like next season. Yeah, there you go, right there too. You got it on.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like you're going to see a lot more. Like I feel like you see a lot more offensive jerseys because it's more exciting on the field. You don't really notice you don't always notice like what the defensive player does, because it's like small shit. Like being in the right place at the right time. But I feel like you're going to see a lot more of that as like Winovich and all those guys start to come up. You're going to see a lot more of that, because that's going to be like the bigger face of the team.
Yeah, a lot of Hightower and a lot of.
You're going to have a lot of more of like the defensive guys rise up in like the starlight of like New England, because there's no offensive star anymore besides Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
You don't have anyone to like get those jerseys.
Is so strong. Too.
I said if there was one guy I was going to invest in the future, it would be N'Keal Harry. I think like N'Keal Harry is the real deal. So this is just stuff that I've heard from last year.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I know that if you guys follow me, like people shit on me, like you don't know anything, or like who are your sources, this and that. Yeah, like sometimes I throw stuff out there that doesn't work out. It's just shit that I hear. I'm not an actual journalist or anything. But do you not see me like with players? There's people from the organization that like follow me and talk with me and stuff like that. So last year, some things about N'Keal Harry, like it was a surprise. They ended up drafting him in the first round. And then he was out for most of the season. He was on injured reserve. They said, and this is what I heard directly from a Patriots player, which I'm not going to throw their name out there, but they said that N'Keal Harry would carry himself like an asshole in the locker room and know that he's better than everybody else on that team offensively.
Sure.
And that's not the Patriot way. Belichick don't like that. N'Keal Harry comes from a smaller school, so he probably has that mentality. There was a reason why he was benched against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, some are saying like, oh, like it's just because the way they had their, the X's and O's and the way they set up the game plan. But it was to bench him to, hey, we're not playing you. We don't need you. And the Belichick has done that plenty of times over the years. Sure. But that same player said N'Keal Harry is the fucking best weapon that they had. And they know that. The problem with Tom Brady last year was, and he said it himself, I don't got time to develop with these wide receivers, and I don't have that extra time. And I think that's why we only got a little glimpse of what N'Keal Harry could do. He
he's
didn't
a
want to
really
spend.
high ceiling.
So who's got the time to spend with N'Keal Harry? Jarrett Stidham. And I think Stidham is just going to throw it up there and say a couple Hail Marys and be like, this guy's going to be my bailout guy. So there's one guy I'm going to invest in. I think it's N'Keal Harry. And the fact that they spent a first-round pick on him, same thing with Sony Michel. The fact that they spent a first-round pick on him, they're going to try to make him relevant, and they're going to try to make him part of the game plan.
Well, I mean, if you don't have Michelle, you don't win your last Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You need it.
He killed it. He killed it in the playoff run. He killed it.
Sony Michel he's a solid player. He produces when we need him, but he kind of struggled last season because I think offensive line problems and no Devlin.
That's it.
No Devlin really hurt him.
They were running a linebacker at fullback, and they're like, yeah, go out there, see what happens.
Yeah. Their offensive line took a hit right away. It's funny. I had that tattoo and literally a day later, David Andrews ain't playing. And it's you start the season like that. It's like, shit. Which you got to give credit to which I think Devlin's done. His career is done, just from what I heard. And then you had Jacob Johnson, who was all right, he was trying to get in. He's more of a finesse guy instead of just the ground and pound, push people forward. And then he got hurt. So how's Sony Michel going to be able to find any holes in the game? And Sony Michel is not Ezekiel Elliott and a prime Todd Gurley like that. He's just going to be beasting or Saquon Barkley. He's Sony Michel. He's still a good running back, but he needs a good line around him. And I think that this draft today is very important to get a couple O-line pieces and get that O-line back. And I preached about the 2 straight years. I preached about that O-line because going into Super Bowl 53, when I was on Good Morning Football, they were asking me about the defensive players on the LA Rams. Whatever. So I said, the O-line was so underrated in that Super Bowl run. And Tom Brady even said, look I got no grass stains on me. No one's touching me. No one's doing this and that. And they had one bad game, and it was against the Tennessee Titans where it was just a turnstile. Trent Brown was like a turnstile that game. You go into the next year and you lose David Andrews. It's that sucks. You go into this season, you don't even know if Andrews is coming back. You don't know the Tooney situation. We heard Marcus Cannon is going to retire. I'm still waiting for him to get cut at some point. So if you're Tom Brady turning 43 years old, who's going to be protecting you? And I think that's the most important part. So Stidham at least can get bounced around a little bit because he's younger and it might not affect him as much. But
he can move.
He can move too. He has some mobility.
He's a little bit more mobile than people.
But once they fix that O-line, it's going to help out Sony Michel. It's going to help out that run game.
You want them to keep Tooney on that hit? You want them to keep him on that cap hit?
I mean, so everyone's been talking about that. Let's trade Tooney for a second rounder. Who the fuck's going to take up his $14 million for 1 year? He's a 1 year rental. The only way he's going to sign with the team is if he gets a contract extension. The Patriots have the cap space to do this and get him to an extension, but will they actually pay him a long-term deal and that much money? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Every time that happens, it's whoa.
I think they're willing to take the $14 million hit just for this season to still somehow keep that O-line together and this way they can start developing a guy like Kajust that they have, Yadi Kajust, and some of these other guys that are just sitting there behind on the depth chart. It's
show what Stidham can do if he has the best O-line around him. You don't want to throw him out there in the fire and be you have nothing. But if you give him a good O-line, then it's what can you perform at when – what our offense looks like at its best.
You're still in a rebuilding year, and you can say that. The fucking people that say this team's going to tank are morons, man. They're not going to tank. Guys like Slater and McCourty are not coming back to this team to watch a team tank around them. Edelman's not staying here.
That's not how Belichick works.
Yeah. Edelman's not staying around and for a tanking team or anything like that. They want to put up some sort of competitive team. If you're going to have to eat $14 million for Joe Tooney because you want to keep that O-line intact, you're going to do that this year just to say, hey, we're putting a Band-Aid on this year as we're developing our young guys to start getting them in there and mix them in there.
Yeah.
Do you if Stidham has a pretty good O-line to keep him fairly protected? Do you what are you expecting from him? Are you expecting any big games from him or do you think he'll have an effect on the team?
I mean, it all comes down to McDaniel's Belichick playbook, and they're going to make sure they go to his strengths and not his weaknesses. It does stink last year. This guy comes in the Jets game and throws a pick six, and it's like he has nothing. But he looked good in the preseason, like he did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to get in that in 1 second. But he looked good in the preseason. But I think that I can pencil him in for, I think that he'll have about 24 touchdowns. I think he throws 14, 15 interceptions, like kind of like somewhere around there. And I'll chalk him up for like about 35 to 4,000 yards.
Hey, I mean, Mitch Trubisky can make the Pro Bowl, so I mean anything.
Yeah, I think that you'll have 1 or 2 really good games out of Stidham this year at some point, and I think he'll have a good game against like a really shitty team, whatever the team ends up being, and he'll end up throwing 4 touchdowns in a game, and I think that he'll have a 4 touchdown game. That's a bold take, and then I think he'll end up playing one of these tougher games like Kansas City Chiefs and go into Kansas City and beat them. Like, and he throws like maybe 2 touchdowns, 250 yards, but his QBR rating like is up there, like no interceptions, like kind of played a clean game. I think you'll see that against one of those teams. Going back to the preseason real quick. So obviously last year, like again, here's the thing. Like I do things on Instagram just to like get people talking. But if you want to know my takes, I come on these podcasts and anybody's podcast. You go back there and hear my voice. I've never changed my opinions, and I've always been upfront in what I say. Last year when they drafted Stidham, I personally, as a Pats fan, was like, no way this guy's taking over. Like I was just like, did Brady stay in here for another couple of years? I knew Brady was going to continue playing. Like he's playing until he's 45, 46. Now we see that they let him go. Like it is what it is. It actually shows you that they knew going into that draft Brady was gone after 1 more year.
Oh yeah,
Stidham was going to be the guy. I didn't believe in it, but so when preseason came, it was Brian Hoyer versus Stidham. I wanted Hoyer over Stidham last year, and I'm glad that they got Hoyer right now. And I'll get into that in a second. But they can only carry 2 quarterbacks going to last year, and I said Hoyer was more worth it more in last year's term because Hoyer is somebody that can develop the defense. He's the guy who can mimic Pat Mahomes and pull a defensive player and say, here, this is what Pat Mahomes is going to end up doing to us. Hey, this is how the Rams playbook's going to be. He was a reason why they won that Super Bowl. He was like a coach. So I thought he was somebody that Tom Brady, when he's suffering in a game, he comes to the bench. He's not going to ask Stidham, like, hey, what do you think about this kid? He don't give a shit about Stidham. He's going to ask Hoyer, hey, what do you see here? What do you do? Like, what do you think we should do here? Same thing during practices. They're going to be doing the same thing. So what I'm pissed about is they let Hoyer go, which he got paid. He went to the Colts, whatever. And the thing is, I didn't want Stidham gone. I just said that Stidham is probably going to the practice squad. But then it kept people chirping saying, nah, someone's going to scoop Stidham up. They'll take him on waivers and he'll be gone, which could have happened. I'm pissed last year just because they end up carrying 3 quarterbacks after week 4 and they got Cody Kessler. It's like, why didn't you just keep Hoyer to begin with and let Hoyer spend that time with Stidham and develop him last year? So it's kind of like playing a little catch up right now. But
yeah, one thing I like about Stidham is that he's had a season under Brady. And Bill Belichick drafted him, so that means he believes in him. And he also has a connection with the young receivers like Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry. So hopefully
Jacoby Myers is going to be two things. Jacoby, I know we're just spitballing. Jacoby Myers is so underrated. He looked good last year. He was somebody that earned a roster spot in that preseason. It's too bad that he just couldn't connect with Tom Brady. He did get to play a couple of games, though. He got a couple reps in there. He's somebody that N'Keal Harry is going to take your best corner and play you man to man, and he's going to pull that safety over the top. And because N'Keal Harry, like I said, he has it. Like they know that. Yeah. Jacoby's going to be all by himself over there on one-on-one situations, and I'm interested to see what he does because he's going to be that second option. And also Mohamed Sanu. I know he got trashed on last year because he didn't come in and make an impact. They spent the second rounder on him. That was a move. Now, if you take this move and say, wow, the Patriots knew – and it's been now known, the Patriots know that Tom Brady was going to walk away after last season. Let's just see what they got. So why did they make that Sanu trade halfway through the season? That means that Belichick was like, all right, this is going to be a Stidham guy next year. Let's get him in here so he can start learning the playbook, that complex playbook that's not easy to pick up. Let him kind of get a couple reps. Yes, he had some injuries, but they knew that he was going to be ready for the 2020 season. So you look at Jacoby Myers, you look at Sanu and N'Keal Harry, those 3, they're not. It's not that, and then Edelman too mixed in there. It's not that bad of an offense if you really think about it.
Well, how do you think that the guy they signed today was Marquise Lee?
Marquise Lee, like
Yeah.
he's had some flashes in the past. Like, I mean, I picked him up in fantasy football when I needed a wide receiver 3, and I was hurting on a bye week. But he's got some flashes, and I think that Marquise Lee, anybody that comes in that really isn't a big name because he's not, it's just more of a training camp body. Hey, let's see what you got, kid. Come in here. If you have it, you have it. We'll keep you going forward. Maybe Marquise Lee is the Philip Dorsett of the team. Like, it's just someone that they bring in. You know, he's not going to be, a pure starter, but there's some games that he could be somewhat relevant.
Yeah. Another like the last like regular just like Patriots question until we move into like draft stuff. Is there like a guy available, like a veteran, someone that you'd want to see on the team that's not really there? You know what I mean? Like that's not on the team right now. Besides like Brady, Gronk, but like.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I wish I had a list in front of my face so I can talk about some players because I can't think on the top of my head. There's one guy I could think of the top of my head that's floating around out there. It's Clay Matthews. I like Clay Matthews to come in here. Very cheap contract. I think he was only $2 million last year for the Rams. I like for someone like him to just come in he's on the end of his career. He's not going to do anything. I'm not saying that this guy's going to come in and be a starter, but he's somebody that you bring in for a veteran experience, NFL veteran experience, and could be a Belichick kind of guy and have the respect to come in here.
He could help teach that young linebacker core.
Yeah, and that's funny about the Winovich situation. It would just be funny, like, father and son. Like, it would just be kind of like something.
I've said that so many times.
Yeah. I think it's just something you can add to the team. I think that Clay Matthews, but the Pats don't have a lot of cap space. They got to clear out $5 million alone just for the draft itself to sign all these guys, which they have plenty of time to do it. With the pandemic and the quarantine life, I think Belichick's just been slowly making these moves. Like I said, Marcus Cannon, like our whole thing about the Marcus Cannon situation was somebody close to him, like good friends with him, told me like he moved out of Mansfield and he moved right down to Texas and he's retiring. He's done with the game. He's won 3 Super Bowls. He got banged up quite a bit last season, so he's just ending it. The dead cap for him for the next 2 years is about, I think, $5 million. So that money's coming to him. I think he's owed that money. So he'll get paid. And then if they do cut him, which they'll save $5 million this year on the cap, that's where you can have someone like Kajus slide up into Marcus Cannon's spot. I know that there's been talks about O.J. Howard coming in. I think that he'll end up going somewhere else. I think that now that they know that he's available and he wasn't part of the original trade with Rob Gronkowski, just because the cap space wasn't there, I think a team's going to reach out and get someone like O.J. Howard there. But like I said, like there's a lot of cap space that they got to make and do. Like same thing with Dante Hightower. That guy's getting paid $11 million, $12 million this season. They need to see if they can extend him one more year and push back that money to make some more room for this year.
Cutting Rex to lose too.
So they talked, those two guys, I saw this on Pat's Cap, like he's on Twitter. I think it's kind of like somewhat of a good Twitter follow because it kind of breaks down the cap situation almost every day with tweets in different situations. Like he said, if Joe Tooney got traded to the Cleveland Browns for Odell, like you end up saving $500,000 on the cap. So little stuff like that. But he said there's cap casualties every year, meaning that there's a cut that comes just to save some money. He listed 2 players, Rex Burkhead and Patrick Chung. Those are 2 names that you should keep an eye out because I like Burkhead a lot, dude. That guy is someone that comes in, he puts his head down, he grinds like the lunch pail hard hat type of guy. And I wouldn't want to see him lose out, but they got Damian Harris waiting. He's going to end up getting mixed in. You still have Sony Michel and James White. I just feel like they like to carry 4 or 5 running backs. Brandon Bolden, like you still have some of these guys, but one of them's going to end up getting cut.
And Chung's more valuable, I think, because you want that secondary to stay as bulked as you can. You don't want to piece away anything from that secondary.
Yeah, the whole Patrick Chung situation is I think he's turning 33 years old, and he's had his slew of injuries as well. He's a veteran guy, but I think his time is kind of coming to an end. They end up picking up somebody recently, like a couple weeks ago, like for a Patrick Chung kind of role. So I think it'd just be more of a cap casualty. I said the same thing about, say, Dante Hightower. Imagine the Pats just cut him and they'll just like, see you later. They would save like $10 million on the $9 million on their cap space. They would never do Dante Hightower that dirty. I think they want to make sure he gets paid and he deserves it. But just saying, like, I think that's why they're going to try to reach out with a contract extension.
They could also restructure Sanu.
Yeah, they have Belichick is just going down the line one by one, taking his time. There's really no rush for it. And as long as he can start making some sort of extensions here and there, not everything's going to be thrown at once. I think going into the draft this upcoming next couple days will be, hey, let's see what we got. Let's see who we can pull out. And then after he pulls a couple positions, then he can go back to those players and be like, we're either extending you or we're cutting you because we found your replacement and we're just going to roll with this because it is technically still a rebuilding year. We'd rather just have these rookies and second year players get in there.
Yeah. So now you have like NFL draft stuff.
Yeah.
So general NFL draft, and I got like Patriots stuff we put together for the draft. How do you think this is going to work with like the online draft? You think it's going to like work for like the fans, like catch attention? Obviously there's no other sports, so it's going to catch attention, but like in the general draft thought, you know what I mean?
So the two out of the last 3 years, I didn't go last year, but I went to Philly and Dallas and I went for the NFL draft. I pretty much did like the first or second day. It's fun. It's a big fan experience. It's free to attend to. And it kind of stinks that they didn't have it in Vegas this year because I think it would be an awesome time to go to. I wouldn't have gone this year, but I think that they're missing the fan element out of it. They just got to do what they got to do with this online stuff.
I want to hear everyone boo Roger Goodell so bad, but
so Bud Light is actually doing something where Bud Light ended up you can send in your boos, and what they're going to do for a commercial, I think, is like have everyone boo. And here's another thing too that's pretty cool. Like I didn't do this. I just haven't had a lot of time to do it either. Is like ESPN said you could send in a video of yourself talking for a minute about like say the Patriots and be like, hey, what's up everyone? This is SpikeKing. This is the Patriots are on the clock. Like they're still gonna be there. Like you send like a little hype video. They're gonna show that tonight too. NFL loves drama. The NFL likes controversy. There will be controversy in this draft. They need something to get them to talk about. I guess the WNBA had a somewhat similar quarantine type of draft online, and it went smooth. No one cares about the WNBA. Sorry. Everyone cares about the NFL. I know people are crazy out there, and they're going to try to hack the systems. I know that there will be something where someone's laptop ends up like that happened to me when I just filmed the podcast like a week ago. My laptop battery died. I didn't even know about that, like in the middle of it. So I think it's going to be quite interesting tonight to see how it goes. And you know that GMs and coaches are going to start complaining like when something goes bad.
You think
I heard when they did their practice online draft, there was a screw up with the first pick.
Yeah, there's something's gonna get screwed up.
It was the first pick. They screwed it up. And it got
I'm interested in the little things too. Like, so you have that element to it. It kind of sucks if you're a player that has worked and grinded your entire life to get to this point. This is the NFL draft, and you probably are at home. Like, if I was in the NFL draft, I would have a quiet party with like 30 people. Like, and even though that we're in quarantine, you're not supposed to do that, I still would do that, but I wouldn't really put it out there. But I'm interested to see guys like a Joe Burrow. Like, what kind of party are you having? Like, you wish you could be on that stage and take that jersey and hold it up in front of all the fans out there to be like, hey, I'm a Cincinnati Bengal now.
I heard Joe Burrow was just going to have it at home with his parents and his girlfriend.
Yeah, like you're going to see. But I know, like, if you had the opportunity, man, like you'd want a big-ass party. You'd want to be in Vegas. Like, you'd want to go out and celebrate afterwards. Like, you'd want to go out on town. But it's just the little things that are going to come from this. I will it starts at 8 tonight. I'll keep an eye on it. I have to go to work. So when I go to work, I leave my house around 9:30, 9:45. So I'll just watch it on my phone. I'm off this weekend. So Saturday, I'm lounging around all day watching the draft. And I think Saturday, in terms of Patriots drafting, Saturday is the most important. Now, is it 3 days or 4 days? Is it 3 days? Is Saturday around 3 days? So Saturday is the most important day. Saturday is pretty much, I think, rounds 5, 6, and 7. And that's where the Patriots have the bulk of
a
their
lot of
picks.
picks.
Yeah, and I think that's where you're going to see a lot of the Patriots movement. That's when you should pay attention to. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of memes coming off this. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of screw-ups. And guess what? It's the first real live sporting event that we've had over a month and a half. So everyone's going to be watching. The ratings are going to be through the roof.
Yeah. You think they're going to, just because they can't do it in Vegas this year, this is kind of just like offset question, but like, do you think they'll just run it in Vegas next year?
Yeah, I think they give them the opportunity to get it back again. I believe
it looked really cool. So
I believe Cleveland is supposed to be getting it next year. Well, you're making that face. Well, they have the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. So I think they were supposed to have it in Canton, Cleveland. Like they were going to do something because Canton can't hold like that many fucking people over there. I think they were going to do something with Cleveland, but they might just push everything back. It just in any sporting event too. Like let's just say, WrestleMania was supposed to be at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. They might just be like, we're gonna make it up for you guys, and we're gonna get WrestleMania there next year. We'll put a SummerSlam there. We'll see. Like I think they owe Vegas, and they had everything planned out there, and Vegas is gonna want it. Now it does come down to money because let's just say for the NFL Combine, we threw this out there too because a lot of people were chattering. It's all money. Like the NFL Combine in Indy was a lease, and now that lease is kind of coming up, and the NFL wants to move it to LA, so they're gonna have LA bid on it, and they're just gonna give it to them. So what if you're, Boston and you're like, we want the draft, we're going to bid on it. We'll outbid Vegas. The NFL is going to listen to that. They're like, oh, sorry, we can't give it to you. Like they paid more money. Like,
yeah,
so it'll be interesting. But I think Vegas will end up having it.
So with like players, this draft, this isn't Patriots, but just like, what do you think about, Burrows? Like, you think he's going to live up to the hype? Whether he goes Cincinnati, like, if he doesn't go Cincinnati, then there's some drugs going on.
So I'm not much of a college football guy. I've always admitted it. Like I don't really know most about the players out there, so I can't give like too many hot takes. But just from what I saw at the combine, like in terms of quarterbacks only, I'm just pretty much offensively driven in my mindset. Joe Burrow will not fit with the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that he's going to suffer up there organization-wise. I think Joe Burrow would be a perfect fit for Miami. I think that he's somebody that needs to play with that swagger and needs to be in a city that has that swagger too, and that's Miami. And I hope that Miami just trades up. If you're Cincinnati and you're getting offered 3 first-round picks, you take that because they still have Andy Dalton on the books this year. You can still have Andy Dalton for one more year, get 3 first-round picks, and still not do good next season, and then try to tank for Trevor Lawrence. Like, that's something they should do. The Cincinnati Bengals do have a good offense, though, at the same time with Joe Mixon. You have A.J. Green. They franchised him on purpose because they're like, we know that we want to get you a veteran wide receiver. They have John Ross and Tyler Boyd, too. So Joe Burrow can make some noise, but that team ain't going to win, like, a division. They're not going to get a wild card spot next year. I don't see that. I think that if you're Joe Burrow, and I think that the players have the right to be like, I don't want to play in Cincinnati, just like Eli Manning did. I don't want to play in San Diego. I want to go play for the Giants. Like, I want to go play somewhere else. I think you have the right to do that as a player. In terms of quarterbacks, though, I don't think Joe Burrow and I don't think Tua are the top 2 quarterbacks this year. I think it's going to be Justin Herbert. I think when we look back on this in 5 years, that Justin Herbert is going to be in the better situation to win a Super Bowl than those 2 guys right there. Even a guy like Jacob Eason, I kind of like him too. I don't know where the hell he's going to go in the draft. And Jalen Hurts. And I think Jalen Hurts is somebody that the Patriots should target. Jalen Hurts would be a perfect fit for, hey, let's see what Stidham has the next 2 years while we develop Jalen Hurts on the bench. And then you decide what are we going to roll with. I hope that happens in Patriots terms. But I think you're going to see some funky trades. And they said, like, you're basing everything off this draft on what you saw at the combine and then what you saw at college. And it stinks for some of these players because they might have skipped out on the combine and they didn't get a pro day. Also stinks for some of those players that sucked at the combine because I seen a couple of them. There was one tight end. He couldn't catch anything. He could have had his pro day and really stepped up and helped out his draft stock. So I'm very interested to see where things are going. It's going to be absolutely wacky.
Gonna be interesting.
Yeah, Joe Burrow was like near perfect in LSU in his senior year, but I think if he's going somewhere like Cincinnati, where that team is just a complete wreck, he's not going to live up to the hype. But it's not because of Joe Burrow; it's just because of what's around him and the coaching staff.
And I root for him. Like, I love seeing swagger out of players. It's like Johnny Manziel. We rooted for Johnny Manziel to be successful just because I like that swagger type of player. But you gotta play, and obviously Manziel stunk. Baker Mayfield is somewhat similar. Like, he got that little swagger, but he's starting to show he's not really a leader, and he's starting to get exposed a bit, and he still has time. But like, you wanna root for those guys. Like, I just want to see that out of the league.
There's been a lot of talk about like teams trading up, so it's gonna be interesting. I think what's crazy is like, I know you said you don't like know a ton about every guy, but it's interesting. A guy like Tua, like, I could see potentially, I don't really know if it's going to happen, but it's a possibility. He's been very injury prone. And like, ever since like the whole draft talk came up, more and more injuries have been like shown that he's
Mhm.
had, that like from like the wrist to other things. So I think there's a chance where he falls because teams are gonna be like, we don't want this guy to get in the league, get hit one time by a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence and just break.
But how far does he truly fall? Because if you're a team that already has a quarterback situation handled, but you know that your quarterback's going to leave in 2 to 3 years, he's someone that, wow, we could just like kind of have him on the bench sitting there.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
if I'm like the Indianapolis Colts or something, like they're a mess right now in their quarterback situation. Like I know they're going to need a starter this year, but he's someone like maybe we get Tua and we just kind of roll with Jacoby for a year or something like that, or and like just like wherever Tua's going, he's not starting. Like he's just going to sit for an entire year.
You don't think Rivers is going to play in Indy?
No, he'll play. I mean, but he's a 1-year deal too. Like, and that's another thing too with the whole quarantine thing. Like, what the fuck's going to end up happening? Does that guy want to go and travel to Indy and be away from his kids and stuff like that? He's only on a 1-year deal. Like, and I don't know. I feel like anything's possible at this point. But again, like say if Rivers plays, why don't they just end up having Tua just be on the bench the entire time? flip sideways over there.
Sideways, whatever. Yeah. So I mean, I kind of know what you mean by all that. I think
I'm sideways.
Yeah. There you go.
there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Oh. So, as far as the Patriots goes for this draft, like, what do you think is the biggest question mark for them? Like heading in, like, what do you think is like the, you know what I mean? Like heading into that draft, like, what do you think is the biggest question mark?
I mean, they definitely need a quarterback. Like they're gonna have to get one. I just don't think Belichick's gonna spend the money per se or your draft capital to get one. They're just gonna see what falls to them in the 3rd, 4th round. I think right around there and be comfortable. And I think I wouldn't even be shocked if Belichick goes and gets a quarterback in the 7th round just to be kind of like Stidham's our guy. Like we're rolling with him.
Yeah.
They need a kicker. Like they don't have a kicker right now.
I want the kid with the goggles. I want the kid with the goggles. I'm sorry. I want the kid with the goggles.
Where's he going right now in the draft? Do you know his draft stock at all?
I don't know. I
All
don't
right.
know. I forgot to look at kickers, but like I don't know why, but I just want the kid with the goggles because I feel like it's something that would totally just blow up here for no reason.
I've been very open, outspoken about how the Patriots should do a hybrid position where Jake Bailey takes over the kicking duties, and he started doing that. Now Jake Bailey was a kicker in like high school and the start of college until he became like more of a punter. But Jake Bailey was doing kickoffs last year. And I feel like if you just go to Jake Bailey and be like, look, all we need out of you is 35 yarders. That's it. 35 and under. That's all we're going for. We're not going for that big leg kicker. Bill Belichick loves his special teams, and it just would be interesting in terms of his NFL history just to be like, we have a hybrid position of a kicker punter because now you have an extra slot. And not even that I think it's next season, you have 3 extra slots now because of the extra game they're going to add. So it's just something interesting that you could be paying one person to do 2 positions in a way. And it's just something a little bit different in my mind. But a kicker is very important for them. And it's, I think that they played the game last year where they had a rotating cast come in and out, 4 or 5 different kickers. I think they need to get that one guy that they want to settle in. So, and tight end's obviously an important position. For the little cheap plug here for Boston's Big 3 Ride the Wave Media, we got Pat Fryermuth to come on from Merrimack, Mass.
Saw that.
He's going to be, we got to connect because of Penn State. Tyler Miller's from Penn State. And that was hard. It was a hard interview to get. We actually had someone watching us like as we were filming it because we wanted to make sure we didn't screw anything over. I hate hearing myself.
I mean, I totally get what you mean with the tight end thing. Like, it's interesting because there's no tight ends projected to fall in the 1st round. So for them, that's perfect. I feel like I was looking at a bunch of mock drafts. They don't really have any tight ends falling early in this draft. So I feel like it's perfect for a Bill Belichick thing where it's like, I can get the best guy available in 2nd, 3rd round. I don't need to.
I think they wait. I don't think they go 1st round for a tight end. I think they go one of the later rounds.
Yeah, they definitely need somebody no matter what. The whole Pat Fryermuth thing was we asked him about he is going to be the top tight end in the country next year at Penn State. Hopefully they even play. And I just said to him, and he knows it, he wants to play with the Patriots. He's somebody that is going to go as the number 1 tight end most likely in the 2021 draft. And that's somebody that the Patriots could end up taking and be the Rob Gronkowski replacement. But this year it's like kind of, we'll see. Like, are the Pats going to take a a tight end early, or are they just going to be like, we're just going to put another Band-Aid on it this season and wait till next year?
Well,
Maybe they see somebody
I
else.
wanted them to go get a guy like not in the draft. Delaney Walker. I know he's old, but like he's productive. He can be productive in a good system. He's never like he's above average tight end. No,
and the Patriots are not afraid to do that. Like in the last couple of years, they got like a Martellus Bennett. They ended up getting Ben Watson back, and he was up there in age.
Yeah, you could also go for a guy with like Tyler Eifert for only like $1 million or maybe less.
And it's funny because that's been talked about, like, I think 2 years ago, like, or last year even, like, there was going to be a trade for Tyler Eifert. Like, there was always a talk about getting him on the team. So that's right. I think the Rob Gronkowski situation kind of fucked the Patriots a little bit because they didn't know what was happening last year in free agency. They didn't know if he was coming back, and then he retired. And I think it was just kind of too late to be like, to go into the draft and try to change things up. And they kind of just ran with what they had.
They were too
many. Yeah, they could have got Jared Cook, but he didn't want to play second fiddle to Gronk.
They were way too many.
If he had just retired right off the bat, the Patriots
if
might
they
have
knew
him.
that he was retired, because they get Jared Cook, and then all of a sudden Gronkowski's like, hey, I'm coming back. It's like Jared Cook's like, why did you guys pick me up? I don't want to be here.
Yeah, in the offense last year, there's way too many what ifs with Brady and Gronk, and I think that kind of just screwed with the heads of like some of the offense and like the coaching staff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think you expect Brady and Gronk had like obviously they had that connection, but you know Brady, his whole career when he's had that good tight end, he's always loved to throw up the seam like to the tight end. Like he's always been very good at that. That's been like known. Like Brady's very good throwing up the seam to Gronk, whoever is at tight end, if they're serviceable. But last year, it's like you had question marks at that position. So for like, you know, even for Brady, it's like if you can't even get to the one route that I know that I can hit you on, then you're not going to get production out of me. For, you know what I mean? Like as in Brady to him. Like you're not going to get me to throw to you if you can't run the one route that I've been throwing my whole career. And I feel like they couldn't do that. Ben Watson's like 38, and then the other two guys, Lacoste and Izzo, are just, you know, they're just question marks. You didn't know what they were going to do. And then they got in there and you're like, you know. Okay.
Lacoste, I think it was the Redskins game, had a touchdown, and it was like very Gronk-esque, like I said that. And people were like, oh, we were comparing him to Gronk. It's like, no, it's the way that they threw it. It was like a over the shoulder, like a fade into the back of the end zone. Yeah, and he caught it, and it just looked very Gronk-esque, kind of, you know, Brady to Gronk type of thing. So, yeah, we'll see what happens at tight ends. They need something. They need blocking. They need a blocking tight end. They need help. There's just O-line. If anything, you want 1 year. If you get a 1 year guy, you're gonna get someone that blocks the entire time, and they could just roll out with the wide receivers.
Yeah.
One other draft question: do you think Tua Tagovailoa will fall past the top 6?
That's a good question, and the way we were talking about it, it kind of sounds like that. I think he stays. I think Tua stays. You know what? I'll be bold. I think Tua goes 15th. I don't even know who's 15th right now. I think Tua will drop down to 15. So there you go. The Denver Broncos. Who do they have for quarterback? It's Drew Lock and Flacco. Maybe they just like, fuck it. We'll get Tua. We got Tua versus Drew Lock. And we have those guys compete because they need John Elway needs a quarterback of the future. So, and I'm just spitballing. That's just me spitballing, but pretty much I'm saying that Tua slides out of the top 10 and every pick starts going by. I'm like, wow, Tua's still on the clock. Tua's still out there. So
kind of like Lamar a few years ago when everyone was like, whoa. And then like, you know, we passed on him twice and everyone was like, what the hell? And then all that.
Yeah, I'm kind of pissed we passed on him. If you think about it, it's like
that would have been a great transition if you go.
It would have been perfect. He would have got to learn under Brady for 2 years. And he would have been a Super Bowl champion already because he would have been riding the pine for Super Bowl 53. And it would have been great experience. And then Lamar could have came in and they could have just changed up the entire offensive scheme.
Sure. For you, like if you're thinking about the Pats draft, obviously, like you said, you're not like super into everyone that's there. But just looking at their team, what do you think is like a sensible pick for them at 23? If they're not going to move, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna have to roll with our guy Joe Stafford. He did all the analysts and his mock draft, and he wants to go Patrick Queen out of LSU linebacker. He said no matter what, and he said no matter what in that spot. I said, what if Patrick Queen doesn't go? He goes, we're getting a linebacker, and whoever the next best guy available is. I mean, I just looked at it as the 23rd pick. Yeah, Patrick Queen's there. Go ahead, take it. I just feel like Belichick's just going to look at what's available and just he drafts based on what's best available. He's going to look at that and maybe be like, we have no second round pick. We don't pick till like probably towards the end of the third round. You're waiting a long ass time. There's probably a lot of players that are in that second round that he might look at and be like, I'd rather have that and take the risk. wouldn't be shocked if Belichick just trades out of that 23rd spot if he doesn't see what he wants and he picks up a second rounder, maybe a fourth rounder or a fifth rounder. You know, it just picks up another piece.
I think if they do stay at 23, I think they probably stay at a linebacker, probably because I think they want somebody under Hightower to just work with.
Yeah, well, they also need a guy to replace Van Noy and Jamie Collins.
Yeah, you need to get another young guy up there, and I think that if you're going to spend that pick and you want a top player in that position, that's the route you got to go. Like, I'd be shocked if they went like quarterback at 23. I'd be shocked if they went into a different direction, a wide receiver. And anyone who wants wide receivers, and they're fine with what they have. This guy is not going to spend a top pick on a wide receiver.
This is a super deep wide receiver draft. They don't need to address that in the first round.
Yeah.
But another thing is Belichick, this is where my confidence in like Belichick in the first round, he's done such a good job at drafting linebackers in the first round. Like over the last however 10 years or whatever, he's drafted very well in linebackers in the first round. Like he picked Hightower. There's another guy too, I'm just blanking. But he's had some really good linebacker picks in the first round, and they've turned out really, really well for the Patriots.
I don't get why Belichick gets hammered about he doesn't know how to draft. He doesn't know how to draft. All right, so if you take the first half of the dynasty, some of those guys were Parcells guys. Some of them were Pete Carroll guys. I understand that. But this dude for the last 15 years has been drafting all these players and still having competitive teams out there. So I get that. Yeah, he might have taken, no shot to Derek Rivers here and not being an asshole, but Chris Godwin was still on the board. Yeah, and Chris Godwin ended up turning into a Pro Bowl wide receiver. Cool. He might have not fit the Patriots system. The Belichick can take these no-name players and turn them into something, and they end up getting paid. Kyle Van Noy.
I love people are when they draft them, if they don't produce right away,
they get.
But then the next year, the year after that, the guy's awesome, and they're like, oh, let's go. But you just said he was a bust last year.
Yeah, I think and Belichick is somebody that, he might draft literally when you draft somebody, you're throwing a dart at a board. You don't know what they're going to produce. They might have been awesome in college, and they're going to absolutely suck at the NFL level.
The funniest thing, sorry to cut you off.
No.
The funniest thing is everyone craps on Belichick about drafting like you're saying. Well, it's funny because everyone's like, oh my God, Brady, 199. Well, that means Belichick passed on Brady a few times when he probably, in real life, if you look back, probably should have been the first pick in the draft. Yeah. So he's not perfect. He didn't know Brady was going to be what he was. So it's not like you can say, oh yeah, he knows everything. Nobody knows everything. You can't predict what everyone's going to be.
I mean, Brady's a different animal because they would have just ran with Bledsoe and they would have just kept that going. And I'm sure Brady could have taken over eventually. And Brady's mentality won him that starting job. But at the same time, it just shows you that Belichick, just in general, Belichick is really great at just developing players. Like Julian Edelman. Edelman wasn't a top pick at all. Or J.C. Jackson went undrafted, and that guy is paying off in huge dividends. He just is really great at developing some of these players over time.
Turn them into a leader.
Yeah. What do you think they should really address in the later rounds? What is something obviously early rounds you kind of know okay, you want a linebacker, but later rounds guys that obviously you don't know everything about every guy, which is fine. Yeah. But, your idea of you want to go get a late guy that you think might have a little bit of an effect here or there. What do you where are you looking? What do you?
So I kind of listed it out in a way by position, and I was if we stick when they make no trades, I see them going kind of what you should go is you go linebacker 23, then in the third round you should offensive lineman and address that situation there, and then you should address the quarterback situation right there. Then they should after quarterback you go with the tight end situation. Cornerback, because I think that they need to get a cornerback as well too, because of the J.C. Jackson situation. He's gonna get paid somewhere else, I think, and we don't know what's gonna happen with Gilmore long term. So they need somebody there, and then I think wide receivers and kicker towards the end, and then you just kind of towards those later rounds the 6th and 7th where you really got a lot of picks. You just start stockpiling on offensive linemen and linebackers and some defensive players. I think the defense. That defense was so fucking good last year, and it's unfortunate that they kind of fell off. And I know more people would be they didn't beat any good teams, and that's the Brian Hoyer situation. Because I felt if they had Brian Hoyer and had another veteran guy there to teach that defense in some of those games, they would have won them. But I think that they should really stay focused on defensive core because that's what's going to help you while you're developing the offense. Offense, if you're going to invest money into the offense, it's the offensive line. It's a tight end. I think they're fine on wide receivers. They can pick up guys like over time
I
too.
think the wide receiving core is solid still.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely solid. Running backs are absolutely fine. You know, maybe draft it if you have another fullback available. I know they just picked up Jacob Johnson last year, but it's like you can just, and I know they have another guy from Green Bay they brought in, but maybe invest in a fullback position as well too.
I think the wide receiver core is solid because Myers is a Stidham guy, N'Keal Harry's a Stidham guy, Edelman's always been productive, and then they got that new guy.
Don't get me wrong. Like you were just saying earlier about how this wide receiver draft class is deep. They need to get a wide receiver because that's going to be another Stidham guy. And now you have Jacoby Myers, N'Keal Harry, an ex-player that they get in this draft that are all coming as rookie. Pretty much they're all going to be starting together, like rookie and a couple sophomores. Like you want to have that kind of build. And I think, and the same thing with Damian Harris. Like Damian Harris was drafted last year. He's going to end up becoming in Sony Michel a couple years ago. So you really have that young core group. They have to keep adding to that. But I think they need a center. Like that's big. No one's talking about that either. Because Ted Karras left. He's gone. Froholt or whatever like that. I think he's a free agent. So he was like the third stringer. And then David Andrews, in my opinion, is not coming back next season. He hasn't been, and he can come out here. And I love David Andrews, and this is no disrespect to David Andrews. Like, he's just not been approved yet to come back and fully play. And yes, he's keeping the weight on, and he's looking good, and he's feeling good mentally, and he's got a break from football and everything like that. But dude, like you haven't been approved yet. And we're into the April and you're at the NFL draft. Like that was another thing about Tom Brady leaving. Like he probably didn't know that they had David Andrews at center. And
we also didn't we don't, if David Andrews does come back, he's been off for all this time. So we don't even know if he's going to still be productive as he was.
Absolutely. And I think that keeping David Andrews around, like he's going to stay on the team. He's on a contract. He's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah,
I think I kind of did this as a hot take, and maybe I should just keep going bold hot takes. Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan, the center, like they should take him at 23, like if he's available, or they trade down and they end up grabbing him in the second round, like wherever his position is. I like to see someone like him come in. I think that's going to be. I might actually post that on IG beforehand. I think that's going to be my bold take of who the Patriots end up drafting. I think they really should focus on who the fuck is handing the football off to Jarrett Stidham. Like that's what they should focus on.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean because I mean the O-line.
Stidham's already like questionable. We can't have any liabilities between him
and the center, like whoever's and if you actually saw this, you know, I kind of put that out there, and it was a Celtics game right before quarantine life. And Stidham was hanging out with David Andrews, and they were getting buddy-buddy. Like that's the guy that's handing you the football off. That's the guy you have to be on the same page with. And I just said, we don't know if David Andrews is even coming back. Stidham needs that guy. Stidham needs to be like, I need someone that's going to hand me the ball off, that's going to be looking at defense with me and changing things around and this and that. So I like the Cesar Ruiz pick now. I just talked myself into it, and I'm just going to have to go.
I think that'd be.
I'll give you guys a little shout-out when I post that, too.
All right.
Talked myself into this.
Did you have to? Did you want?
I was gonna ask like, all right. Well, if they don't go quarterback or if they go for a quarterback, who do you think they go after? Do you think they go after a Love or that kid? What was it? The kid out of FIC.
I just like Jalen Hurts, man. I really hope that they can get someone like Jalen Hurts there. I give him a lot of respect from where he had to switch colleges and everything like that. I think he's like one of the top quarterbacks.
Really get Hurts in the second round.
And that's my thing about if they do trade down and they end up getting somebody. I don't have the list in front of me of quarterbacks and positions and stuff like that. And I'm going to be completely honest. They can grab a known name quarterback. It doesn't really matter who it is. They're going to be developed in that Patriot system, and they're going to become somebody. Matt Castle became somebody. Ryan Mallett became a somebody for a second and got some money off of that. Look at Jimmy Garoppolo got paid for playing a game and a half. That's how Jacoby Brissett played one game and ended up becoming a starter for the Colts in an emergency situation, and he got paid. Like the Brian Hoyer just coming here, he got paid somewhere else because of his experience and everything like that. So I literally could give two shits who they end up drafting as a quarterback. They're going to get developed into something. If people who want to read into it and be like, well, you didn't think Stidham was going to be the guy because it was Tom Brady was still there, and you had no idea at that time that Brady was going to be gone to Tampa Bay the following year. I absolutely trust Belichick in developing these quarterbacks, and I'd be shocked if they just pick somebody like at the end, but it doesn't matter who they pick up. They could pick somebody up in the 7th just for Belichick to prove a point. Be like, I'm going to turn this guy into a great backup and like someone solid, and they'll say, see you later in a couple of years.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
They also have 3 third-round picks, and if one of those and something else was traded to get an early second-round pick to maybe draft Hurts or Jake Fromm, then they could get one of those guys too.
And I would love that move. Like it just shows like, all right, because another point of this too about Stidham is you need somebody to compete against Stidham to keep him on his toes.
I would keep motivated.
Exactly. And that's the Brady situation that Belichick has done with him. He brought Garoppolo in to say, hey, this guy can take over your spot at any time. And I think that lit a fire under Brady's ass. But the fact was that Super Bowl 52, I think with Brady throwing 500 yards, 3 touchdowns, should have been the MVP of that game. I think Brady going to Super Bowl 53 year was like to Belichick, like, hey, you dicked me around. This is my team now. Like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah,
so.
and I think you need to have that sense of competition, or I think Stidham would get too comfortable, and I don't think he'd succeed. Because once a player gets too comfortable, then they're screwed. Like, then they've already screwed themselves because
their window for improvement drops rapidly if they don't have anyone to push them.
That competition.
At the same time, too, like, another motivation is, like, you're literally stepping in for Tom Brady, and you know that this is your time to shine, and the media and the fan base is gonna fucking be all over you if you suck, all over you. Like, I don't expect Stidham to be Tom Brady, but I expect Stidham in a system. The whole system quarterback thing it pisses me off because there's 32 teams that have 32 systems. They're all system quarterbacks. It's just that the Patriots system is the one that's the best. And I see Stidham succeeding well, and that's why I said 11-5 and 12-4 because Stidham is not going to be the guy that's going to carry you every single game, but you have other ways of winning games.
He's going to be a Tannehill. He's just going to sit there and do what he's told.
I would love the Patriots if they got Jalen Hurts to do a 2-quarterback thing, just like the Titans did with Tannehill and Mariota, and you could see something like that with Jalen Hurts and Stidham, like just kind of throwing them both out there.
I've said with Stidham, one thing I've said with Stidham is like, this is like, his potential. So, if Stidham can be to Brady what Gostowski was, after I'm blanking because I'm like a total moron. After what the hell? What? Who's the kicker before Gostowski? I'm blanking so hard.
Vinatieri.
Why am I
Vinatieri?
Oh, Vinatieri.
Yeah, a little transition like that.
Yeah. If they can have like that, you know what I mean? If Stidham can be what Gostowski was to Vinatieri, then that's more than enough. Like for me, like if you can get that out of that guy,
awesome.
Like,
that'd be insane.
Look at Garoppolo last year with that 49ers team. He sucked that playoff run. He had maybe 2 touchdowns total, 3 interceptions, and like 300 or 400 total yards, and that's counting all 3 games. He absolutely pooped the bed, but that team was in a spot to win the Super Bowl. They were up like 10 points. Like they had the chance to do it. The Patriots wouldn't have crumbled like that. I think that in the way the system was set up in the Patriots system, Stidham would succeed. And here's my thing with Jarrett Stidham. If he is the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots, what makes him successful in Tom Brady's place? This guy's not going to win 6 Super Bowls. What makes Jarrett Stidham successful in New England is as long as he wins 1 Super Bowl and goes to 2 and gets 2 trips off of it. I think if he can go like that or go 3 trips and win 2, I think that makes him a successful quarterback. I mean, Jarrett Stidham has, and I think our guy Caden Bodak hot take for him was Jarrett Stidham could be a Hall of Famer alone just because he's at the right team with the right coach, and that guy could win 2 Super Bowls and go 3 trips and like play for like 10 years with New England, and that's enough to actually have a Hall of Fame career. Like, really, look at Eli Manning. Like, he's just somebody that has won 2 Super Bowls thanks to his defense. Yeah, you got to give him some credit. But you look at his stat line, and he's not a Hall of Famer like stat line, but quarterbacks always get in. That's something that Ty Law said to me. It was funny because going to Super Bowl 53, Ty Law was like one of the finalists, and I asked Kurt Warner about it, and Kurt Warner was just like, man, Ty Law didn't like do much in his career. Like he just won championships with New England, like blah, blah, blah. And I told it to Ty, and Ty was like, man, like Kurt Warner, the only reason why he's in the Hall of Fame is because he's a quarterback. Like the quarterbacks always get in. It's the easiest position to get into. So it made me laugh, but it makes me think about Stidham's. If you're just in that right spot, you can end up being a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, especially under a coach like Belichick. Not just
And Belichick's not going anywhere over the next 5 years. He's staying in New England. Like I posted about it. He's chasing Don Shula's win record. Once he gets Don Shula's win record, he's done. He doesn't have to prove anything else. He's done everything else. I think it's just Don Shula always hated the Patriots, and I think he's hated Belichick a lot. So I think that's the one thing that he wants to make sure he has. It would have been great to have the perfect season back in 2007 and having that notch over the Miami Dolphins, but that's why he's going to have the wins there. And that's why they're not tanking. Like it's why to tank? Yeah. Why would he tank at the age that he's at right now?
He's not that guy anyway. Like even when he started, like, the Patriots weren't as like dominant. Obviously, when he first got here, their record wasn't great. But
5-11.
The guy that's like, let's suck. He wanted to win. He's always wanted to win. He's tried to win.
His worst, other than the 5-11, the worst winning record was 9-7, and that was in 2002. So if you kind of want to do something where what's their realistic record, that could be it right there, 9-7. But guess what? 9-7 in today's NFL, it could make you the playoffs because now there's an extra team. Last year's 8-8 Pittsburgh Steelers would have made the playoffs under the new playoff rule where 7 teams make it. It's also interesting that now that first seed becomes so much more valuable, which I think the Ravens will go to the Super Bowl this year. Like I'm not picking the Pats to go, like, but I see the Ravens will probably get that 1 seed. They're gonna need that. Kind of makes that 2 seed like at the end of the season, you don't have to try as hard. Once you're in the playoffs, Like, you want the 2 seed so you can host a home game. But if you want to rest your players and stuff like that, like it's gonna make it kind of interesting towards the end of the season.
Gotcha. So this is the last part of our thing. This is the fun part. Where we ask questions that you're going to have some interesting answers to.
Absolutely. I'm an open book.
So me and you were talking about this before this with, the Gronk trade and stuff like that. So you went from, you had your profiles changed over the years. I followed your account for a few years. I know Nick has, and I know Cross has followed you for a while too. You were young Gronk. And then you were the SpikeKing, which are both because of Rob Gronkowski. So now that he's gone, what does that mean for you?
Okay, so a lot of people on Instagram or out there want to make assumptions, and I've been an open book every time I come on these podcasts. And I mean, this goes back to the Clark Street Chronicles. Before I was even doing podcasts, it was the first ever interview I did, and I went in depth about me changing from young Gronk to the SpikeKing and stuff like that, or the young Gronk thing. So the young Gronk thing was just funny because I used to weigh like 300 pounds, dude. I lost a ton of weight. I went down to like 200, and people would always joke with me in my inner circle, like, oh, you kind of look like Rob Gronkowski from the side, blah, blah, blah. And then a Nesson reporter, I was getting an interview, and she called me young Gronk. And this was after the AFC title game they lost against the Denver Broncos. So, like I changed my Instagram to young Gronk, and I just kind of ran with that persona. I did this thing called the Spike Challenge, which is to raise money for Best Buddies. We got Teddy Bruschi to do it. We got Ty Law to do it. And it started making some waves around here. And then all of a sudden, I had a meeting with Best Buddies, and they were just saying, hey, like, Rob Gronkowski doesn't want to do this. Like, the family doesn't want to be associated because they have their own charity and stuff like that. And I thought I was doing something fun and good. So then over time, this was after Super Bowl 52, like for a couple months, I met with a few people that were always giving me advice. There's always people out there that give you advice. You kind of take it. I met with a lawyer, and the lawyer kind of said to me, and this is where people twist it. Oh, the Gronkowskis told you to do this. They never told me shit, dude. This lawyer came up to me and was like, yeah, I'm going to be real with you. Like, I like your attitude. I like your persona. Like, I like the energy you bring. You're starting to raise money for charity. I never made a single dollar off that name. But he goes, you're going to make money soon. Like, I know you are. You keep that young Gronk name, those people are going to sue you. Like, they're going to sue you because you're making money and profiting off the name Gronkowski, Gronk. Like, they don't own it. So can I trademark it? He's like, no. Like, they own Gronk. He's like, it's not even worth it. You should change your name. So the SpikeKing name was kind of a shot at Rob Gronkowski in a way. Like, it has like, oh, this guy, all right, well, his family doesn't want to attach to the charity. Like, if their family just reached out to me and was just like, we actually sat down and talked business, like it could have worked out. I think it would be being that super fan of Rob Gronkowski would have actually paid off because that guy is always about marketing. So I think the SpikeKing name wasn't about, oh, it's after Rob Gronkowski. It's kind of like, fuck Rob Gronkowski. Like, I'm going to go call myself SpikeKing because I'm better than you. And that's why we made that name up. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. And this is not me bullshitting about it and just saying like, oh, he's making up a story. That's how it was. And I actually know the kid, now lost in the top of my mind. I talk to him every once in a while. Why can't I think of his name? I don't know, because I haven't talked to him in once in a while.
It's okay, I just forgot out of
it. But he was the one that came up with the SpikeKing name, and he still follows me. He knows what I'm doing. He understands the marketing off of it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
My whole thing, I didn't like SpikeKing. Like I needed to change my name because I knew I was going to make money eventually, and it was the smartest thing the lawyer ever told me, and it was free advice, and I did that. And it's not about the name SpikeKing. I could go and change my name tomorrow and just be like Stupid Babs, and it's like people are still going to follow. They're still going to listen to my takes. They're still going to want to hear what I got to say. I think the SpikeKing thing was just funny too because it's what kind of made me, not Rob Gronkowski. Yeah, Rob Gronkowski looked like him, made the young Gronk stuff, but spiking Philly cheesesteaks, spiking a terrible towel, spiking Bud Lights, just spiking birthday cakes. Like I just kind of did that shit. The football here, and this is the interesting thing. So when you think of spiking footballs, you think of Rob Gronkowski, but spiking footballs has been around in NFL for like a century. Like it's always happened. He's not the only one. So I think that was just kind of the interesting take on it. So I know people the last few days will chirp you like, oh, you named yourself and your whole persona is after Rob Gronkowski. No, it's not. Like it was at the beginning with young Gronk, and then I completely changed that. 69 jersey, doing all this other stuff. And guess what? I end up making money, dude. Like I end up getting a $50,000 contract for advertisement, like with 1 in 100. Like which I miss now because like there's no sports. And I was making money like off the side doing that stuff. That's why I got to travel and go around and go do all this crazy stuff. And that's why I ride the wave. Here's another thing. Like people shit on me like, oh, you don't pay people that ride the wave, this and that. People don't know the shit I get to do for these kids, dude. Like I paid people. I'll get them to I sent somebody to the All-Star game last year for the MLB. Like I've done these things, like send people to games, or I've sent people to like events to go cover and this and that. So, and that comes from the ad. That comes from the ad revenue. So anyways, if I made that money, 50 grand, and I was still called Young Gronk, I would 100% have a lawsuit on my hands. And that guy, which I kind of want that smoke because I want to be like, look at and expose this guy. And this is another thing. So I'll just go right into it about Rob Gronkowski. Like, listen, the guy's a Hall of Fame tight end, and he's one of the best tight ends to ever do it. And I don't think it's wrong that he comes back. I've been preaching how NFL players are going to start taking 1 full year off and then just come back for their body and their mental well-being. It's just the way that he did this. You're a professional athlete. Yes, Rob Gronkowski might have been jerked around himself with the whole Detroit Lions situation. Belichick's looking out the best interest in his team as well too. And at the same time, Gronk kind of screwed around with the fan base last year and played with us. And I just think that someone needs to be out there and say it. Like, it's wrong what he did. Like he would do his Gronk Beach announcement or the CBD announcement. And this guy is trying to jerk around the Patriots about and go on Barstool and say, hey, yeah, I'm definitely coming back week 12. And you watch the team last year and you needed Rob Gronkowski on that team. I wouldn't be salty if this guy just came back last year, even if it finished the same exact way and they lost against the Titans, if that guy just came back for a couple games, playing 25% of the snaps out there and just kind of gets back into it. Because guess what? He did come back. He tried. That's it. And then he could leave. Like, I have no gripes of Tom Brady leaving and going to Tampa Bay. Like that. And that's not why I hate Tom Brady. But in terms of the Rob Gronkowski thing, I'm just trying to be completely honest. Like, obviously, with Instagram, I like to do it a little above and beyond and put a little bit more emphasis on it. But there's something there, and I'll tell you there's something there because, I feel like I'm not feeling like this. I've been told by certain players, you're kind of like the voice of the voiceless for the players that cannot go out there and say these things. There's a reason why some of them fuck with me and some of them don't fuck with me. And they hear some of that stuff because I'm sure Rob Gronkowski is not the, all-around well-liked guy on that team. I'm sure that some of the players saw the way he acted over the last year. Tom Brady told him, hey, it's my last year on the Patriots. Why don't you just take the year off and come with me to Tampa Bay? I think it's unprofessional to do that, especially We're the fans that are buying your jersey. We're buying tickets to go to the game. We're spending the time on Sundays to root for you. The fact is that the Patriots fan base has been defending Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski for the last 10 years, with all the shit that goes on through it. And even the last 20 years with the whole Spygates and stuff like that. We've defended you nonstop. We have put you out there. Why are you dicking us around, the ones that have done that? I completely understand the marketing ploy. I completely understand. Same thing with the Brady Hulu commercial. Like, I understand what they're doing, but you're dicking around with the fan base that has stuck up with you for these last 10 years. And someone said that to me, and it made me think, like, holy shit, like, that's awesome. And one other tidbit here that Roondog sent this to me. Rob Gronkowski hasn't done this. This is not his first time doing this with the Patriots organization. 2016, when Tom Brady was suspended for those 4 games, out of nowhere, Rob Gronkowski got hurt in the preseason. Why is Rob Gronkowski suiting up in the preseason? Makes no sense. He didn't play the first 2 games, and then the next game he started or he played, but got like 1 snap or 1 target in that game. And then he kind of played a little bit in the 4th game. The second that Tom Brady came back that season against Cleveland, he started playing like he was never hurt, and all of a sudden he's 100%. You know what I mean? So. And he's been kind of like this. Yeah, does Gronk want to go play with Tom? That's cool. But he just shouldn't have dicked around the fan base.
And
That's
I feel like Gronk, me personally, I expect that from that bullshit from him because he's that type of guy. But Brady, I don't. That's why it kind of annoys me that like Brady did stuff like that.
I 2 things. Number one, in that video, I said that, Gronk, like, what have you done off the field for the Patriots? People come and chirp at me. Well, Gronk does charity work. Gronk has gone to Boston's Children's Hospital and stuff. I mean, they all have to contract. They're all on their contract. They have to do the hospital stuff. Like, they have to make appearances. When you sign a contract, I forget how many hours. I think it's like 100 hours. Like, you have to do 100 hours of community service a year, and that's in your contract because Robert Kraft wants you to do that for the community side. So he's not just doing it out of the kindness of his heart. He's obligated contract. I don't know how to say that word. He's thank you. He's in to do that. Number 2, Buzz for Kids. Like, I participated in that last year, and I talked to people, and some people don't like him because he's getting paid to be there. Like, yes, you're paying Rob Gronkowski so you can have a name, so you can make more money for the organization. That's cool and everything. But this guy's also bringing his Gronk bus outside to have people take pictures. That slew of advertisements, and he's acting like all wild and shit like that. If you really cared about charity, you would just go out there and just fucking do it. Like, that's the way I try to do it in my mindset. Like, yeah, we want to promote it and we want people to undersee it and stuff like that, but we're also physically doing it and not making the big spectacle out of it. Number 2, the Tom Brady commercial with the Hulu commercial back at the Super Bowl. And if you guys remember this, I posted that, a screenshot of that commercial. I said, I just don't think that Brady's coming back. I think it's the Hulu curse. But I was like, I don't think Brady's coming back. I got hated on that. People said, you're not a Patriots fan. You're not believing in that. Tom Brady's staying. The guy literally said, I'm not going anywhere inside Gillette Stadium. And that's another thing, too, on this. Rob Gronkowski's face is on the side of Gillette Stadium for his CBD oil. And then all of a sudden you have this guy make a Hulu commercial inside Gillette saying, I'm not going anywhere. And I just felt like Tom was taking a page out of Rob Gronkowski's marketing playbook because of his brand, because the TB12 brand is worth a lot to Tom Brady. And I just feel like, man, between those 2 and the way they acted just on the last year alone, you kind of dicked us fans around. The ones that have supported you nonstop, Deflategate, kissing your son, that you're not washed up anymore. We've defended them nonstop, and you have to dick us around. Like Ty Law said, Tom Brady doesn't owe anybody anything, this and that, but leave as a professional, because you are going to come back one day, and they know that. They're going to come back, and they're going to be in the Pats Hall of Fame, and they're both going to be Canton and Canton. But just the way it went out, and you can say, and fans out there can say, oh, you're so salty and you're crying about it. I'm not crying at dude. Their times are up. Like, I wanted to move on from Tom Brady. So his time was up. There's no way they were going to end up being able to have the contract that he wanted and have the players around him. That's fine. It's just the way you went out and kind of backstabbed all Pats Nation. And the fact that people don't see that and they're blind to it, it's just, you're sheep. Like, you're a Brady fan and you're a Gronk fan. You're not a Patriots fan. You're just fans because of these big name players, and you follow them. Just like people who follow LeBron from Cleveland to Miami to Cleveland to LA. You're just a LeBron fan. Like, you're not a Cavs fan. You're not like a Heat fan. So I'm happy because now the bandwagon, that little wagon that we've been carrying, has just been cut off, and all these fans are cut off. I hope I hope that Tom Brady and Gronk have successful individual stats in Tampa Bay, but I hope this team goes 0-16. And I just want to laugh, and I just want to see Stidham, and this is it. I'm picking one side or the other. Are you with Gronk or Brady, or are you with the Patriots? There's no in between. You pick one or the other. You can root for them and say, I really want them to succeed. No, I'll root for the Patriots straight up, dude. I don't give a shit what they fucking do in Tampa. You guys are gonna come back. You guys are gonna get celebrated. You won us multiple Super Bowls. Don't get me wrong, but it's just the way I'm turning my back on you guys right now until you guys come back.
If you're a Boston fan, you have to stick with the Patriots. That's how it works.
And it's funny to see, bro. Like people, and I get this. Like people are buying season tickets down in Tampa Bay, and they're gonna go and travel down to Tampa go see Brady play. Like that's cool because. Yeah, he's on the end of his career, or it's kind of cool because, hey, Tampa Bay is supposed to be hosting the Super Bowl this year. Maybe you can make a couple bucks off of it or something like that because you're buying and selling tickets. But bro, I'm actually interested this season. If we actually have fans in the stands, how many people show up with Gronkowski and Brady jerseys, Tampa Bay Buccaneer Brady's jerseys? And if you do that, me, I don't give two fucks. I'm going to throw my phone in your face and be like, you are absolutely fucking loser, dude, for doing that at a game. Because you think you're trying to be fun and edgy and stuff like that.
So this is on the second part of the interesting questions. This is something that was going on. It led us to having you on the show. So people don't know, there was this other guy that was part of what you guys are doing. And he's no longer. And his name was Green Runs Deep, and he's now gone. And so for people who don't really know, can you, what happened? What caused, for people who don't know, can you, explain kind of, what caused it? What was the blow up?
So first of all, if you had Green Runs Deep on this podcast, it wouldn't be successful. Yeah, you're going to get views and stuff, but the guy just want all one-liners and this and that. Yeah, he's got a little Celtics insight. You got to take it for what it's worth. But, man, I know I can carry and talk all day long and make it interesting and ask great questions. Green Runs Deep, myself, we've been friends for over 20 years, man. And here's the thing. GRD came on our podcast, Boston's Big 3, episode 50. And we wanted to celebrate. We had a big lineup. We had Pat Fryermuth on there. We wanted Green Runs Deep. GRD was on our podcast to begin with. He's part of the Big 3. But GRD, man, when you start doing shows over and over and over again with him, you kind of lose the luster, man. You kind of lose, you're starting to expose yourself. So GRD wants to come on our podcast. We talk. He likes to talk a lot of bullshit. And he went on the podcast and said, I'm the biggest name here. He's doing his GRD thing, this and that. Kind of throws other guests under the bus that we've had in the past that I think that were important names. Thing is, GRD goes onto social media and starts ripping Ride the Wave Media, starts ripping Boston's Big 3. And GRD's got this cult following that now he's starting to tarnish the brand name. It's dude, if these people really knew who you were, you absolutely suck at talking sports, and holding a conversation. And that's just me and him kind of taking little jabs at each other. So this guy wants to come out here and shit on a brand, Ride the Wave. And now we're starting to lose following. And now you're starting to get negative reviews. Yo, I've worked very hard to build the brand up over that last year and 2 years, let's just say, and you're starting to tarnish that. So you kind of taking a little shot. Yeah, we're friends, but yo, disrespectful. Don't do that shit. So then all of a sudden, I took a couple shots on him on IG. He's taking his shots. He's having his little cult following come after me. Then he starts talking about my unborn kids. He starts talking to my mom. Why are you even doing that? Then he leaves me a voicemail and threatens me he's going to fuck me up and stuff. We fought in the past a couple times. Friends fight. It is what it is. But now he's starting to threaten me. And I found it would be a nuisance. So I posted on my IG oh, you want to play this game? I'll play that game with you. I posted on my IG, I'm looking for an attorney. I had 5 to 7 people reach out to me. Here you go. I got in contact with a few people. They got in contact with GRD. Pretty much a cease and desist. Stop fucking ruining this guy's defamation lawsuit, pretty much. You're ruining this guy's brand. You're ruining this guy's image, and you're making threats. That's enough grounds for a lawsuit right there. GRD no longer around anymore. Now, will he come back? Yeah, we've talked about it. I get to pick when he gets to come back. I got him as a little puppet right now. And when GRD comes back, I'm sure he'll be on fire. But this is more of a learning lesson. Don't fuck around with me. Don't fuck around with my brand. Don't fucking talk trash. And if you're going to piss me off, people can call me pussies and say oh, you guys should just duke it out. No, you know what he's going to keep doing? It's like he's just going to keep writing negative reviews, keep talking his bullshit about Ride the Wave and all the stuff that we're doing for content purposes. You know, if you want to come fuck around with me, dude, I'll expose you, dude. That's what I'm doing. Same the way I do the shit with DMs. Like, I've been posting all my DMs lately. Here's one thing that's interesting. Just this guy, Chris, this kid, Chris, right? He got in the line of fire. He DMs GRD and goes, yo, man, like, I met Babs one time. He was such an asshole to me. He was supposed to help me out with Ride the Wave. Like, never happened. He pushed me out. Dude, I'm not lying about this. I met the kid back in October at the Browns game. He came up to me, him and his buddy. Yo, we're so big fans of you. Like, we want to get in on this. Like, we want this, and that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, Ride the Wave can help you out. It's just like, I need to see work. Like, yeah, maybe we can bring you on and stuff like that, but it's not my decision. Like, we have MLB guys. Like, they're the ones that are going to run that show. He kind of, like, talked with them. And this is now Ride the Wave is pissed, the guy who runs it, Brendan Watabe, because he's like, that kid never got back to me, or like he never said anything that was really like worth like having him on. My whole thing, and the same thing to you guys, like consistency, like just keep showing work. Like the more you show work, the more you're going to become valuable and people are going to want you. And I said that to him and he never ran with it. Yet he'll fucking go in a DM and tell GRD, yo, this guy like pushed me out for Brendan Watabe, who Brendan has been with us since day one. This guy's doing this and that. It's just funny to see people try to like get on his side and stuff like that and show their true colors. And I call them out for that 100%. And I know that I'm in the right in that spot. Yeah, like,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, and it's funny too, because he posted pictures about my weight. Like I just told you earlier, I used to weigh like close to 300 pounds. Then I got people in my DMs like ripping me for being fat and stuff. It's like, dude, I don't even look like that anymore. And like, I think GRD just took it a little too far and got a little personal. Now people are like, are you guys fake beefing for clicks and views? Like, dude, look at some of the shit that was posted out there on both sides. Like, yeah, like you can kind of spin things like, oh, like, you know, like GRD, bro, like he's funny, bro. My best, like one of my best friends, dude, like, and we'll get over it. But like, he's just like crossed the line so many times. And it's like, sometimes enough's enough. Like I'm not a fighter, bro. Do you know how many people I get in fights with like online? Like, yeah, but you see me in person and someone calls me a faggot. Like, I'll be like, all right, like show me a cock. I'll start sucking it right now. They have no idea what to say when I say something like that. I'm not here to fight people over the internet or over sports or physically fight. This motherfucker is like, this guy will like pick fights with people. Yo, like if you truly know who I am, you come up to me. There's so many people that love to talk shit. You know why they talk shit, bro? It's because they see what I do and they're fucking jealous. They're jealous that we're doing these things at games or we're getting paid to do things. And I'm pretty much just a clown that's like yelling into a phone. Well, guess what? It's working and it's catching on with certain people. You spend the time to talk with me and have a beer with me at like, say, fucking six string or something before a game. Dude, I'll give you the time of day. Like I'm literally a nobody, but I have like a little clout. Like that's it. But I'm just an average Joe person. And a lot of people that fuck with me, that support me, that have met me know that. I will take the time to take pictures. I'll take the time to talk to you. Like, but the people that like to hide behind their phones, and I've seen it, dude, at games. I've seen people give me eyeballs, give me the stink eye, that they're like, fuck that kid, this and that. You're just not taking the time to get to know me and understand what goes on and kind of be part of that family.
We met you at that Taco Fall thing, and you guys were awesome. Like, you took pictures with us and talked to us, and you signed his cast.
Taco Fall.
Take a picture of my cast.
Taco Fall situation, too. And here's the thing that's funny is like, dude, me and GRD, we meet so many different people out there, and we really appreciate every single person. Like, you see us in person, the way we talk to people, we're very genuine. It's just the way we've grown up together, like with our families. Like, we'll give you the time of day. Like, yeah, we might not fuck with certain people, this and that, and we're gonna have the asshole mentality. But it's funny that you guys met. Like, we meet so many people, I probably forget about that, and I just think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember that. Like, okay. That Taco Fall thing is funny too, because GRD didn't even want to be there. Like, and GRD quit halfway through. Like, we got to stand inside there and take pictures with everybody that came through. And I told him, like, yo, this is important to build your brand. Like, take pictures and talk to everybody. He's like, fuck this, dude. I want to be here. That's the GRD mentality out there sometimes. Like, he was like, I'm better. But with SpikeKing, like, yo, I will fucking be energetic for fucking 4 hours if I have to. Same thing with the recent Taco Fall, where he did it at Apex. Like, he like left halfway through. I stayed there the entire time, and I ended up filming shit with Taco and stuff like that. Like, you have to do the extra mile sometimes with that shit. So,
do you ever see like a reunion with GRD and Ride the Wave or no?
Yeah, I mean, I think GRD with the ride the wave situation. I think that GRD, the ride the wave's like my vision, my goal. And when you have two big egos come together, you're not going to always agree with stuff. When me and GRD are on the same page, we fucking make magic happen. We absolutely do 100%. Sometimes we're not always agreeing with each other either, and that's fine. Like he's my biggest critic, I'm his biggest critic. With ride the wave situation, like it kind of sucks for him because he's not ride the wave really. Like he's just on his own. Like he helps out once in a while. But I do see me and him. We'll link up sometime in the future. But for now, like GRD, like I put him down. I put him under. Where is he? He's not on Instagram anymore. I kind of got the win off of that, and I wanted to put it out there. Now you can you can call me a pussy or a loser for what I did, but I got the little one up on GRD right now. And I hope when he comes back, he fully apologizes publicly to everybody out there what he did to me, to my fans, to Ride the Wave, to Boston's Big Three, and to all of his supporters as well too.
So
yeah, about that Instagram thing, were you the one who reported it or did he delete it?
My attorney that I ended up getting in contact with got in contact with him and said, you have to take down your Instagram like until further notice. And he heard that and he was like, damn, like I'm gonna fucking do that. I haven't talked to GRD. I haven't talked to GRD at all, like since that voicemail. But I got some dirt on him that I never publicly shared either. The text messages and other little phone calls, it all gets saved. It all gets sent to the attorney. Like he's just building a case on himself. Why do that? Where? Go ahead.
So he kept posting all this shit on his story. Like obviously you guys were going back and forth, and it was just like it was almost entertaining to a point. But then I'm like looking at it, I'm like, this kind of fucked up. Like. Side note, congrats, on the kids and all that stuff. And I was like, what the fuck? This guy's like saying this shit about his kids. Like, that's fucked up. But there was a thing about like $3 million. What the hell was that?
That shit's bullshit, dude. If I had $3 million, I wouldn't be living in Everett right now. And I'd actually attend the Super Bowl at Super Bowl 53. Like, I would actually go do shit. Let me tell you something about GRD, though. And on a real level, that guy's helped me out financially. Like, and he's got money, bro. Like, he works hard for what he does in real life. And he's taking care of me quite a bit. And there's been times when I gotten stuff, dude, I make sure I take care of him. So there's a give and take. At $3 million, if you believe that, you're an absolute moron in your sheep. I don't believe it. Because I'm not saying you, but the people that would DM me and say, I can't believe you owe this guy $3 million. And I'll joke around like, no, I only owe him 2.99 mil. Like, it's not 3. I'll joke around. The fact that
people were DMing us, and they're like, you got to ask about the $3 million. I'm like, I'll ask him, but it's definitely fake. I'm like, there's no way.
Like,
I'm like, if they had $3 million, I'm like, even if they had the nicest hearts and they're the best guys and they love to connect with people in Boston sports, they would be so much like different if they had $3 million. You know what they would do with that?
We would be sitting courtside all season and shit like that. I would have season tickets to the Pats. Like I'd be sitting on the field. Like I would just be doing what I got to do. That $3 million is such a sham. And it goes to show you how blind people are and how loyal. Like if you say something, they're gonna completely believe you. Have I stretched the truth in the past? Depends on the situation, but everything I say has truth to it. There's always truth to it. The whole like him. How about him treating that usher like shit, dude? I saw that. I hate that kind of stuff. People are like, oh, you're not telling the full story. Okay, yeah, I got kicked out of the fucking game because of GRD because I was seat stealing, and that usher didn't like us and was like, where's your ticket? And he's like, you have to leave in the fourth quarter. You know what I did? I stood up and I just walked up to the concourse and I talked with them and I said, I feel like this is wrong. I talked with Boston police. They're like, dude, just leave. It's okay. I didn't make a big deal of it. I took the L. I walked out. What's this guy do? He goes up to the usher and calls him like names and calling him a pussy and having this and that. How's that a good look? Yeah, and I remember that night because people were texting me and saying like, yo, like he needs to delete that. That makes you look bad. It makes Ride the Wave look bad. It makes everything you do look bad. Same thing with his like head situation. Some shit happened outside a bar. He likes to talk and like gets punched. My whole thing was, have you ever seen videos of SpikeKing or Babs going out there yelling at people like and having fights like that? Or you've ever seen a black eye on me? The amount of shit talking I do and the amount of people that don't like me. Have you ever seen me get beat up by somebody? Have you ever seen me get punched by somebody? Because if I did, it would be out there and it's not. So it just shows you the difference right there.
Yeah, I think you can't those guys don't even make that much money, so it's like that's just completely disrespectful. And they're not, most of them are nice guys. Like I think it was went to a game with my friend. I saw this game and that guy let us walk around in like the the club seating. He let us like walk around like that floor because because they have a lot of cool stuff up there. They're nice. Most of them are nice guys. They're just doing their job.
Yeah, what was the outside of the garden that was like GRD like going in on like 4 guys? Like, what was that?
Yeah. All right. Nah, but being real on that one, I just did that just to kind of push that out there. But to be real on that one, what happened was Jack Skelly, who works for Barstool Sports, that was the Toronto Maple Leafs game where we had the leaf blowers. And he was filming us. Like, him and Timmy King were filming us like during the day and stuff like that. So we met with him after the game, and he has like a professional, like couple $1,000 camera, and he's filming us doing some stuff. He has us mic'd up, so you can actually hear me talking because I was mic'd up. After the game, we were just like kind of interviewing people. And some kid was drunk, and he was waving his towel, and he hit the camera. He hit Jack once, and then he hit the camera again with it, and GRD saw it and just fucking shoved him down. And then it broke up into a fight, and like just like everyone's kind of like he tried to throw a punch and shit. But here's the thing, like I understand GRD's actions, like he's defending Jack, and Jack liked that and everything like that. But bro, like, there's no reason to fight and throw haymakers with people and shit like that. Like, it's not a good look, like, especially it being on film and people are seeing it. Like, I guess someone else got a camera view of it and it's out there somewhere. And if you take that shit out of context, like, people are going to be like, yeah, like, look at these guys. They're not good. And that's the way I wanted to show it, because even though it's a little out of context, like, and I didn't have to explain it, you see that, it's just going to look bad. If you see someone
drunk, you could just be like, bro, just get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, like, because his boys were there and be like, yo, go up to him and be like, yo, cut the shit or I'm gonna fucking like put my fist through your face. Like, do it that way first instead of just going out there and just fucking shoving him down and being like, what the fuck? Because that's gonna start beefing. In today's world, dude, and I see it in today's world, you don't know who fucking has knives on them, guns. Like, there's a lot of violence out there. And one instant where GRD could be in the right for shoving somebody, that guy could get stabbed the next second. And like, it's just, and because people are fucking crazy out there. So that's why I was upset about that shit. And I came in there and you heard me like, yo, break it up. Like, I'm not in there like throwing haymakers and stuff. There's a time and day where you want to, you do throw down, but like it's so pointless to do that and have a scuffle after the game. Like, it makes everyone look bad in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, overall, it's just crazy. I think it doesn't really, like, it is
entertaining. Trust me. Like, it's entertaining. Like, I have thick skin, dude. Like, I know he posted a lot, and it was my way of being like, you know what, fuck you. I'm going to take this even further and show you I ain't joking around. And that's what happened. But it is funny, like, that people, like, at my work, like, people DMing me. I got friends calling me, like, what the fuck's going on? Like, everyone wants to know. And even during the quarantine life, like you said, it kept you a little entertained at the same time. We're funny, but it got a little serious at the same time, too. So, GRD, I'm sure he'll be back. He's not gonna just give that away that account. And when the time comes, we'll discuss terms and we'll see what happens. So.
Yeah, sure. Well, so I got one more question.
Yeah.
I know you've talked about it on your account, but how do you feel about Killer Kev being a Bucks fan?
Oh, Killer Kev. First of all, Killer Kev is a basketball.
Oh man.
Killer Kev's a basketball guy. Killer Kev is not a football guy, really. All right, and he knows that. But let me say something. I like that Killer Kev's a Bucks fan now. I mean, Killer Kev is showing everybody out there what Patriots Nation's doing right now. I like what he's doing. I support it because, like, that guy is literally the epitome of what Pats Nation is right now. Like, oh, I'm a Bucks fan. I'm following Tom Brady. I'm following Rob Gronkowski. You know, I'm going over there to Bucks Nation. There are people like that. And yeah, people are hating Kev for it and stuff like that. I don't hate it. I know deep down inside, Killer Kev, he's just a football fan. And that's what football fans do, man. Now, if he was doing that and saying like, yo, I'm a Warriors fan, I'm a Lakers fan now, I'd be like, yo, fuck you, dude, because I know he bleeds green, dude, and he's all about the Boston Celtics. But Kev's a good guy, man. I know that Kev, like, on Ride the Wave, like, sometimes will get shit on, and people will DM and be like, why does this guy work for you? That guy grinds, bro. That guy does all those crazy at in the hat giveaways, and has worked hard on social media and helped build our brand up as well too, especially when not a lot of people, dude, what happens with these people that Ride the Wave is I try to make them understand social media. We try to get them to get up there, and not a lot of people understand it. Not a lot of people are able to do it. And someone like him and Roondog, like, they both get it. You look at the 2-minute drill, that's a very successful account right now for our football account. And I actually think they'll surpass our main account at some point this upcoming year.
I follow 2-minute drill. I follow all of them, but like
Yeah.
I literally look into 2-minute drill.
2-minute drill is good because I know Roondog loves football. He's the one who runs it. Like, I have nothing to do with 2-minute drill. It's just our brand is associated with it. And I know Roondog, we had some – right away was hard at first because you had to feel out who can do what and what happens, and it took a couple of months. And then I just went to Roondog. I'm like, let's build this account up. You run it. You have your minions under you that are helping out, like Dan Shea, and Adam Pasquale and Brandon I can't say his last name, but they help out. And that's a successful account because it's kind of a bias towards Patriots, but an unbiased as well too. They just put out kind of news and stuff like that. So one of the things I'm doing right now, just like I'll be open and honest, is like I was thinking the other day Brady Boner. Like I was just like Stidham Stiffy. Like I was talking to Stidham Stiffy is going to be the new Brady Boner. So I was thinking in my mind, I was like, I looked it up on Instagram and there's no account called Brady Boner. So I was just like, why don't we just make an account that's a Tom Brady fan page account for Bucks, Patriots, Michigan, football, whatever. So this is my little test for some of these new guys. I'm like, create this account. I think it's a layup. It's not that hard to fucking make a Tom Brady fan page account. You have the Ride the Way brand under it, so you know that you guys are going to get a little exposure. And this is a good way for you guys to just get Tom Brady highlights and understand how to build an account. And I think this was like that's my teaching method as somebody at the top, trying to help out some of these younger guys to understand social media and shit like that too.
Yeah, because if they have success with that, then you can actually incorporate them and use their skills in your own brand, and then you actually gain. You're getting guys that have experience now.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we want to give them all the reps. It's the same way of like we have a website and like we have a couple accounts now that have once you have 10,000, you can do swipe ups. So like we have accounts. And what we do for articles is like, hey, you got free range. You can write whatever you want. Like, that's cool. But you're building a resume for yourself. So when these kids are going to college or after college that want jobs at Nesson or NBC Sports Boston, or they want to go to ESPN, hey, where'd you get your start? Everyone has to have a start somewhere. Oh, I work for Ride the Way Media. Like, what the fuck's that? You can oversell us and be like, oh, we're a sports media company in Boston. This is like, here's my articles. This is what I wrote. You can see the numbers of like Instagram. Like, these are our followers. This is our reach, because we do have a good reach that not a lot of people end up having. And like I just want to build up more people in the future. Like I'm doing my own thing. I have my own goals. Like my goal would be, I hope I get into radio or like TV one day in the Boston area. I think that would be kind of cool. I know somebody on the Patriots said like you're kind of like sometimes you do the Mike Felger approach and you take the Felger route. And I know people hate Felger, but he does it on purpose for, to get people talking. It's like what I've done with the Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady situation. Like that's the general feeling that I'm saying. I'm going against the grain of Patriots Nation, but hey, I have at least a point towards it. So I thought that was kind of funny that he said that. My father was in radio for over 30 years. He's a meteorologist, but he did radio for weather. So I think that's just why I'm so comfortable doing something like this. It took a while because I'm shoving a phone in my face and doing takes and this and that. But I've been comfortable over the time doing this. And I said to my girl, I know that I have the twins on the way. So it's really going to change my life in terms of attending games. Like, that ain't going to happen that much. And traveling ain't going to happen that much. And I did say that this year in 2020, I really wanted to focus on podcasting. I wanted to focus on talking. That's why Big Three, like the Boston's Big Three, we've been getting guests. It's good that, yeah, you guys could have had GRD. I slide in here as well too, but I'm always open to go on other people's podcasts and talk and just give my advice. I did that with MGT Media. I went on there, and I guess they're gonna get like Torrey Holt or something like that. Because listen, just shoot your shot right now. Like, just shoot your shot. You can probably get somebody on there.
Yeah, we got Chris Hogan next week.
The more people, like Chris Hogan, like that's big. Like, I mean, like when you told me that, I was like, holy shit, like that's actually a good name. And I got jealous myself because I'm like, I go to Joe Stafford. I'm like, why don't we have Chris Hogan on here? Like, why don't we have these players? Because it feels like I'm always the one grabbing people. I didn't get Pat Fryermuth, but like I'm always the one trying to grab people. And that's another thing I want to teach our guys. And you guys did it, is just like, go shoot your shot out there and get these players on there. Because you have Chris Hogan on here next week. You can ask him some questions. He ain't an employee with the New England Patriots anymore. And I'm sure that you might have to get some questions screened, or, hey, this is kind of the direction we're going in there. But you never know what they're going to say. An example of this is I don't really work with them too much. I like them a lot. Matt Moraney and Justin Turpin, they're from Redline, like Redline Sports. And what happened was I had them come to a Mass Pirates game last year. I gave them credentials. I said, here, this is how you get you in. You start working with these guys. You used to interview them, this and that. Cordero Patterson and Jonathan Jones were there. And I said, you guys will have time to talk with them. One question each is all you get. Here you go. Set you up. See you later. I walked away. I had to go home. I got a text later on from Justin Turpin, and he's like, dude, Cordero Patterson just said the funniest thing, and I think it's going to go viral. And what Cordero Patterson said, he just said, what's that? What's the Super Bowl mean to you? And Cordero Patterson goes, that Super Bowl don't mean shit to me. You just got a quote, a snippet that's going to go viral, and you didn't have to do anything. That's why it's funny to talk to some of these athletes, because they're the ones who are talking. Same thing the way I'm talking. You might get a snippet or two from me to be like, holy shit, I can't believe he said this or this. And and they went viral for it. They actually got a cease and desist letter because their name was called Red Lion Media, and there's a Red Lion Media in Florida, and they sent them a letter saying you need to stop using that name because they went viral. That shit went out there. So I thought that was awesome, and I thought that was a great learning experience for them and stuff like that. So that's what I like doing this. I like to, obviously I know what clicks and I know what hits. Sometimes I fail at it. Like I said, going before Young Gronk, I was doing a lot of my stuff on Snapchat, and I was always on Snapchat getting featured on these big games and stuff like that. So you weren't just gaining followers off of it, but I just knew oh wow, I can definitely get clicks, and I definitely can get likes, and I can definitely go viral, and I can definitely get a following off of this. And that's where I built it over the last 3 years on Instagram.
Yeah.
Although my followers have been going down recently because I've been talking shit about Gronk and Brady, and they don't like that. But the views are still there, and there's a lot of people that might not follow, but they lurk. Here's the thing, and this is actually real talk. I gotta turn this on. The last Babs versus everybody, by the way. I had to wear this today because that's how it's been going. The last two, Brady, when Brady left New England, I was asleep because I work overnights. I fell asleep 10 minutes before that news broke that he was leaving New England. The
you were like, whoa.
But I knew it was gonna happen. It's not like a huge shock. But here's my thing: Rob Gronkowski situation. Knew he was gonna come back. Probably going to Tampa. I woke up to that too. And what's funny is sometimes an instant reaction isn't what you need. Sometimes the best thing is to wait. And that's what happened in both instances, because I had all these DMs and text messages and phone calls. People like, dude, I need to know your take. I need to know your take. I need to know your take. So when it comes down to the followers, like for me, it's great to have followers. It's great to have the support. You have a number that shows hey, this is what I hold. This is an audience. But same thing with the Rob Gronkowski, the Tom Brady thing. I let the day go by, and I was like one of the last people to give my instant reaction my reaction because there are people out there like, dude, I need to know what SpikeKing's thinking. Whether you hate me or like me, you're like, I need to know what the fuck he's thinking, what's going through his mind right now. So I thought that was just kind of an interesting thing that I just taught myself. I talked to one of my guys, Wes Hogan, who helped build Ride the Wave Media, and I explained that to him. He goes, and he's like, that's a great learning curve, right, or a great learning experience right there. Of sometimes it isn't what you do instantly. When I'm at games, I'm always instantly talking about them afterwards and what happens when news happens. But sometimes it's better to wait off and build that excitement up. And that Rob Gronkowski video did pretty well too. It was out there. So
I mean. I want to say, I think we're going to cut it in a minute here.
Yeah,
I want to congrats on, everything you guys are doing to ride the wave. Personally, congrats on, the kids. That's awesome. I'm really happy for you. That's really cool. The whole family thing, I think that's really great.
It's not easy. We've gone through a couple hiccups so far. And we're just hope that everything's for the best. It's a very delicate pregnancy because especially identical twins, but I can't wait for them to be born and have the little cheerleaders and bring them and eventually bring them to games and stuff like that. Girl dad's hot in the streets nowadays. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And what's been cool about that now is the pregnancy is being able to connect with fans out there that are fathers that are like, hey, I just had a kid last year. I'm having a kid this year, or I've been a dad for 5 or 6 years. And dude, I follow the SpikeKing. This kid's fucking wacky. Now he's having a kid. You kind of start connecting with people on a different level, a little more mature level in a way, but it's just been fun.
Yeah, to get them the little mini Spike princesses.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, what we're actually going to do is I want to buy Patriots jerseys. Now they just came out with the new jerseys. And they don't have custom ones just yet, but I don't know if I'm going to have to grab some old ones or something. But I wanted to put their first names on each of them and kind of do a name reveal type of thing. So I thought that would be kind of cool. And
that would be
and then they can wear them and stuff like that. So it'll be fun, man. And especially over the next, I mean, they're not going anywhere over the next couple of years because they're babies. But it'll be cool still building this brand and being able to do stuff to eventually being able to bring them to games to kind of show them my sports world and stuff. And my girl, my girl's a big Celtics fan. So big into basketball. Like I'm big into Patriots. She's all big into Celtics. So it'll be kind of interesting to see them grow up in the sports world that we live in.
So. Thank you to the SpikeKing for joining us today. Go check out his Instagram and Ride the Wave Media on Instagram. And thank you for everyone listening. And follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and like us on Facebook at @offbeat_sports. So yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.